guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Ashley from Grace and Goods Boutique.
And I'm Shelby from the Aria Mint Studio.
And this is the Business Bestie Podcast. Okay, so I'm so excited. We're here with Lauren South. She's a real estate agent for Fort Wayne and the surrounding area. I will let her kind of introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her story. Lauren?
Okay, thank you guys for having me, first of all.
Yeah,
So, you said it. I mean, I'm a real estate agent with Fort Wayne and the surrounding area through Keller Williams as my brokerage. Been doing this almost 5 years, and it very quickly had to become my passion and has since just grown into something that I get to do at a high level. Prior to that, I worked customer service, office management. So this really combined what I thought was just a love of detail and paperwork and management and helping people through a process, and turned it into more of the relational business that I have today. But I know that background has kind of helped with that. So outside of that, though, my real full-time job is being a mom. I have 2 little boys. We're 3 and 5, and their dad is my biggest supporter because he is with them right now while I get to do fun things like this. So, yeah. Yes, they do. They do. They're best friends and worst enemies right now. So we're just working through all of that.
Yeah. A supportive husband is so important. We are both so lucky to have that. And we've talked about that before. So that's wonderful that he helps you out like that.
Absolutely.
So with real estate, it is a very large group of people. There's real estate everywhere. Real estate agents everywhere. So how do you promote collaboration over competition? I know that's something you're passionate about. Can you speak on how you use that in your day-to-day?
Absolutely. I think that the reason I can be passionate about it now was because there was such a scarcity mindset when I first started because of the sheer amount of agents. I mean, our Upstar board here in Fort Wayne has 1,600 agents, and they can go anywhere in Indiana. We have other boards that can come into Fort Wayne as well. So there's thousands that we could be competing against. So the idea of collaboration being that I have learned, especially starting around year 3, that at the end of the day, people are going to work with who they know, like, and trust. And it becomes a lot of a personality game and a relationship game. And I just had to get really okay with the mindset of I want to work with the people who want to work with me, and the people who don't want to work with me, that's okay. There's someone else out there for them. So that was really the first step in getting through that. And when I think about business, I do think there's something to be said for having business smarts. You know, you do want to have unique items. You do want to have a niche product or a niche service. But there's also something to be said for boutiques being able to collaborate and knowing the people within your career path that you really can meet with and bounce ideas off of. And especially in real estate, you could be in it for 11 years, like my team leader, and do 85 deals a year and still, have moments where you have to say, haven't had that happen yet. So that was the first big step into collaboration, was just realizing masterminding in our business is so incredibly crucial. I think the biggest area where agents get worried about collaborating is social media, because I think a lot of agents see that as like their lifeline in the business. But we all have to realize that, like, you never have to reinvent the wheel. You can find agents out in California and send them a message, and they will always be willing to say, hey, go ahead and recreate my reel or whatever. And then at a local level, again, just realizing people are going to work with who they want to work with. And if it's not this person for you, it's the next, and being okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all that. We talk a lot about the collaboration over competition.
Yes.
Again, like, we're both boutique owners as well.
Yeah.
And I found that pretty early. So we've had our boutique for 5 years, and we kind of started this like little boutique hop, and it was supporting each other. And it's great because when people come shopping, they're like, oh, is there anywhere else I can go? Like, they want to go out and support.
Yes.
And, recommending, like, hey, my neighbor, they're a boutique as well, just across the street, and vice versa. And then everyone is winning at that point. So,
yeah, absolutely.
With the collaborating, and if you had somebody new that was trying to get in the business coming to, what is one big piece of advice that you would be willing to share with a newcomer?
Yeah, absolutely. My first piece of advice would be, do not make it your life. It's very, very easy. I mean, I've seen it done multiple times with agents who are extremely successful right out the gate, and they're working 60 60, 70-hour weeks. That doesn't always mean that it's at the detriment of other parts of their life. I know several agents that, single, not parents, and they can do that, right? And to that I say, go get it. But at the end of the day, also, your friends don't want to have a conversation about real estate every time they see you, They don't want you to be asking them if you're looking to buy or sell every single time you see them. So I would just say find a way to promote being genuine first, and also just let the business talk happen. What I really experienced was year 1 and 2, I got a lot of the question, oh, what do you do again? What, and then it becomes, how's the market? As time goes on, and people then just realize that, oh yeah, she's in real estate. It just takes time. I really think year 3 is pivotal for new agents. They say if you can make it 5 years, then you're going to make it in the business. And it's true statistically. I just know from watching members of my team, people at the brokerage, year 3 is really that pivotal year of, okay, people know now. And if you can get to that, the referrals and other relationships start to come.
Because you kind of already built that foundation, and then the referrals now. Someone always knows someone that's looking to buy or sell. So after a couple of years, you really got your name out there more.
Yeah, and I think just especially if you're following the 80-20 rule on social media, and you're dripping in stuff about real estate along with all your other personal life, your dog or your, new coffee shop you went to, they're going to see the real estate stuff. And I think it just takes time to get to that where you become who they think of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really like how you to not make it your life, because I feel like all of us get lost in our work,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of let that motivation take over sometimes, where we're just work, chase that next big thing. And we're all mothers, we're all wives. So how do you keep yourself grounded?
To be completely honest, I have to remind myself constantly that being a real estate agent is not my reason that I'm walking this earth. And that's the first big truth that I have to give myself to bring me back to a place. But I also think that there is a counterbalance. I stressed myself out a lot in the beginning, just feeling guilty, and I still have it. I've worked a lot this week. I have a little bit of mom guilt in me right now. I'm not usually gone for my boys this much during the week, but I just know that at the end of the day, I'm a better mom when I get to work, but my biggest calling in life is to be their mom, to be a wife to my husband, and to love people like Jesus. That is my why. So if I can get my mind back to that, then it kind of helps me to balance my life back to where it should be and not feel that pressure of real estate. But I can only sit here and say that after 4.5 years through lots and lots of tears and heartbreak and trial and error and growth. Because if it was year 1, I'd be like, oh, it's great. It's great. They're so great. And it's just, it's hard.
Well, it's hard with social media too, and our phones, right? It's different when you work a 9 to 5 versus owning your own business essentially. And, my phone is always going, and it's so hard for me when I'm at home to be like, okay, I have to put the phone down. No answering messages after a certain time, or I get an idea for a reel and I want to jump on and make it. And I'm like, nope, we got to put that away for tomorrow, because again, the momming and the wife thing all needs to happen.
Yes.
And it's definitely really hard.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I read in a recent article that you had out that you were in the medical field prior, correct? What did you do, and how did that kind of prepare you for this, or is there any crossover in those jobs?
That's so funny. When you say, is there any crossover in those jobs? The immediate thing I think of is just people and personalities in general. And there's lots of crossover and just handling, diffusing. So I know
we were both medical. So I went to school for medical and graduated and worked at Lutheran for 2 years. And I was like, this isn't for me. And she's in medical as well.
Okay. Too, so you get that. Yes. So what I did, to answer your question, what I specifically did was I was front desk. So when I first started, I was a CMA, and just, greeting people, just making people feel welcome. One of my Clifton strengths is a woo. So winning others over. And basically what that means is I make a really good first impression. So I think I learned that in the medical field. Oh, this is something I'm good at. I'm good at connecting with people quickly to where they know, like, and trust me. But then, diffusing situations. There's it was family medicine, but there are still situations where people are not happy. You just kind of have to like, okay.
Well, they're potentially coming in on maybe their worst day. You know, they're sick,
absolutely.
not feeling well, or they're coming in with their kids who are sick and not feeling well, and they're stressed and all of those things.
Yes.
So making that first impression to maybe like get them feeling a little bit better. And then I'm sure that's like how real estate is too, when you're trying to kind of win over a client's business.
Well, and that's something that I think we have in the medical field typically is we tend to be pretty compassionate and empathetic people. And that's, if I've brought any strength of my personality into real estate, it is the fact that I'm probably one of the most empathetic people out there. So when I ride a wave with my client, I've had to learn to not be as empathetic because it can be really damaging. I mean, if you feel everything that you can't control. But in the medical field, that was great. I mean, to be able to sit with people and be like, I get it. I'm so sorry. And just have that moment with them. That's what gave me the great relationship with my patients. And so that's worked into my clients.
I can attest to that because I don't know if you've ever dealt with this, but I feel bad sometimes when people come into my boutique and spend a large amount of money. I'm like, I don't want you to spend all your money on me. You know? Like, I feel bad, but you have to get over that as a business owner and know that your products are valuable, they're worthy, and the time that you put into it is worthy as well. And you deserve it. So that's
and
hard.
they're there because they want to spend. They're willing to spend the money. I remember my very first transaction at my boutique in the very first year that we were open. And the transaction was a couple $100, which is not hard to do when you're buying clothing. Right. And I remember being so frightened to tell this lady what her total was.
Oh, yeah.
And I told her, and she was just like,
here you go.
Okay. And I was like, okay, here we go.
It's that easy, yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about that in the real estate world the past almost year because of the change in how we have to charge things and how we make our value known to our clients. I mean, it was a big change. It used to be that a buyer could call you and be like, hey, Lauren, I really want to see this house. And I'd say, okay, sure. When are you free? And we'd go. Well, now I have to have a contract with my buyers. My buyers have to hire their agent, just like a listing agent is hiring them. And that was such a huge change.
I remember that. When did that change?
July of 2024. Okay. So talking about knowing your value and knowing what you're worth and being okay with letting people go if they don't see that, but also trusting your agent so that you can see their value.
Yeah.
That's been our whole world since July of last year. Know your value, know what you bring to the table, what you provide to your people, and people who want that are who you're going to work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So moving forward, because you said you've been now in real estate for 5 years, correct? What is a goal that you have going in 2025, or over the next 2 years that you have in real estate?
Yeah, so to be honest, I've had a lot of, I think, almost like imposter syndrome type moments where I'm like, wow, 2024 was so great. I really don't know what's going to top that. I mean, I hit my goals. I had the article with Real Producers. That's been just like a 6 months of excitement. I had the Ultimate Connector Award at the Real Producers Gala a couple weeks ago. And so just lots of really awesome things that with also this moment of like, this probably won't be happening the next year or, multiple years after that. So goal-wise with what I have in mind, I have this new goal to be what they call a Bold coach. So essentially Bold is like a 7-week intensive for real estate agents that Keller Williams puts on. And they have coaches who are extremely highly trained to travel and lead and speak to these rooms full of agents all over, and you get hired to do it. So
I love that.
My love of travel goes into that. But Bold changed my life as a young agent like 3.5 years ago. So I really did have the epiphany for 2025. I mean, I hired my coach to coach me to where I need to be because there are production goals that I have to get to be considered for a Bold coach. So when I think of goals, it's going to be a lot of like realtor speak for volume and units and all of that. But big picture, I've just had this epiphany of, I really think you can be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. That's something Gary Keller says a lot. And I've lived that. 5 years ago, I was running a mental health office and working 2 days a week there. Like, I never thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. So that's the big goal. It's not quite an annual year goal,
but I still feel like that it pertains to real estate, obviously, and it's a life goal. So I love that.
Yeah. And it's bringing value to people outside of just selling houses. Like, that's such an exciting awful, horrible, but great roller coaster process. Yeah. But if I can help better the people doing that and share my stories, then that's just a lot more fulfilling.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I love how you said 5 years ago you wouldn't picture yourself where you are today. I think we can say that about ourselves as well. But how did you grow your self-confidence? I know that was a big thing you wanted to speak on.
Yeah.
How you did that. So can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, with the roller coaster, right? So it started with bold and just knowing I come across as an extremely confident person, but I'll to this day never forget the first time that someone told me, "What, you're so confident," and I wanted to be like, "No, I'm not. I'm a firstborn girl, so I have some of that about me, but I have very low self confidence for a very, very long time." And again, a lot of imposter syndrome, getting into something new with so many incredible, successful people in a very public career, again, social media. So Bold was the start of it. And they just talked about mindset so much. And just, I'm not like a big meditator or anything like that, but we did this one exercise and it was like a closed eyes, probably 15-minute, like guided journey that you had to picture yourself on. And I just like silently like wept because I was speaking to myself with so much love and appreciation and like sharing hopes and dreams that I'd never allowed to like come into my mind. Because I'm not like a dreamer, I'm not a hoper, I don't have a lot of the typical like entrepreneurial qualities in that regard. So that was really the start of it. And then just the journey of you deal with a lot of rejection in real estate and having to learn to not take it personally. But I turned 30 last April, and I have a lot of friends who are all in their 30s. Like all of our friends are older than my husband and I. And one friend in particularly kept saying, like, you'll love your 30s. It's so great. You just know who you are, and everything's better. And it was kind of like a switch flipped for me. I think a lot of it was because of the hype. Like I was just ready to be there. But also just life circumstances that really made myself, it's going to sound really bad, but like not rely as much on others because being so relational, I do rely a lot on my people. So I never want to be the person who's like, I can do this. It's all about me, like girl power. Like that's not me. But I do know that I have more abilities than I give myself credit for. And so leaning into those, it's just, made me a lot more confident in my day-to-day tasks. And it's just kind of built along the way.
Like you, a couple years ago, I would not have thought I would open a business and start posting my face all over social media.
Which you're so good at. I love when all your stuff pops up.
I still make myself cringe sometimes.
Oh no, it is
but
so good.
I've gotten more comfortable with it, with just speaking that life into my business. Besides self-confidence, what are some other qualities or skills that you think someone that wants to be a realtor have?
My gut goes to like, you have to be somewhat of a people person. I mean, you do have to network, you have to build these relationships. But I also know there's a whole class of realtors that consider themselves much more introverted and they kill it. Like they still do phenomenal. So I say the networking and the relationship, knowing that that works well for me, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Skills and qualities, I mean, nothing grinds my gears more than when there's not communication or paperwork is filled out just like, whoop, like I'll just throw this on here.
Your organization is a major skill that you need.
Yes. And it's not something, in my opinion, it's something that if you can communicate at a high level and be organized, then you're going to do well and go far. But those are also somewhat teachable. It's just going to be harder in the beginning. So I mean, relationships with your people, and then everyone's going to say honesty, integrity, trustworthiness, like
basic
good morals. Yes, that's the easy stuff. That should be every realtor. Yes. So I hope that answers some of that.
Good.
So with all those skills, then that I feel like all realtors do need to have, or even just business entrepreneurs in general. What do you think a skill that you have or something that you do sets you apart from the rest of the realtors?
Yeah. one thing that I do very, very well is connect with people. And I know we've kind of touched on that multiple ways, but to take it out of my like, this is why I'm a good realtor shoes and put it into, this is why I'm a good realtor that realtors enjoy working with, is because it can be very, dog eat dog's not the right term, but there are just sometimes you'll have a transaction. You're always going to have a co-op realtor, right? Like if I'm representing Ashley as the seller, someone's going to represent you as the buyer, right? So I'm immediately working with another realtor. And in my opinion, there should immediately be this air of, okay, how are we going to do this together to get everyone to the closing table and respect each other along the way? And that's not always the case. I think sometimes realtors step into it with the mindset of like, I'm going to prove to you that I'm the better realtor. And that's never something that I do. And when that has been given to me, that response, I don't know, like kill him with kindness is just kind of my go-to.
I mean, but we can't really do much else. Yeah. But again, I think that goes back to, again, like the collaborating over competing. Everyone, I feel like the transaction would just go so much smoother if everyone is working together.
So that's been a focus for me this year, is networking with other realtors. And I know that most realtors don't see the value in that. They consider it almost like a waste of time because the other realtors aren't going to be your clients, right? But at the same time, they're 50% of any transaction that I do. So Real Producers today, we had an event, and I just have a new perspective on really working the room to build respect and trust with my coworkers, so that we can serve our clients that much better. And so that every time a client speaks my name to another realtor, they can have a positive thing to say.
Well, I think something that people don't realize about networking is it's not just networking to chase that next client or the money or what she can do for you. It's also about building just friendship and being able to chat about something that maybe happened in your day or you need some advice as well. So I still think networking with the people in your same business is still great. You know, there's so much more to it than just looking for the next client.
Absolutely,
next,
And no one's gonna get it like another realtor. Like nobody's gonna get it like another boutique owner, right? Exactly. And another event space owner. That you need your people.
Yeah,
you can even just vent to sometimes.
I know. Yeah,
that's exactly why we started this podcast, because we know that you need your people.
Yeah,
you don't know it all. You're never gonna know it all. Someone's gonna know something you don't know.
Yes.
All right. So you touched on rejection earlier. I know that when you become a realtor, I'm sure you probably assume all of your family and friends are going to use you every time they need to buy a house, and that's not the case. How do you, or how have you dealt with that or other types of rejection?
Yeah. So the first thing I had to learn to do, and my team leader Brandon would say this, is never burn a bridge. So the incredibly like hurtful situations where I had been working with someone, and then that they find that for sale by owner, and then all of a sudden I worked for free for so long, and then they have a home, right? And they text you and they're so excited, and you know, everything in you is just like, what? Are you kidding me? And I had to learn really quickly, okay, and I'm not typically the kind of person to just immediately go off, but I had to learn to process through my feelings with rejection before even sending a congratulatory text message or anything like that. So never burn a bridge. And I've had multiple times where they've come back afterwards, and I'm so thankful that I didn't react in any sense. And those are almost somehow less painful than when you have that friend or close friend that almost kind of figures out how to cut you out of the transaction or uses someone else. Those are a lot trickier. And I think at the end of the day, I just had to really, really lean into the people who want to use me are going to use me. And some of my best clients aren't in my immediate sphere or even that sphere. They're in like the outer sphere. Like they watched me grow up, and I've never spoken more than a few sentences to them in my life. And now they can be my cheerleaders, right? So I think everything's always going to be what it's supposed to be. And the more that I embrace that, the more I'm even able to preach that to my clients. Okay, we didn't get this house, and I know that stinks, and you really loved it, but I can promise you there's something better out there. And the one that we get is going to be the one. So rejection has helped me be able to speak that to my clients too.
I know we all probably have had instances where we tried to work with someone that ended up being a little bit icky. So moral or didn't have the same values as us. And I
Yeah.
think that just teaches you a lesson. And also,
Yes.
you wouldn't want your brand or your name attached to someone like that
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So it just works out.
Cut the ties and move on.
Yes.
Well, aside from all the work and all the things, we
Yeah.
kind of talked about, being a mom and a wife
Yes.
first. I read that you like to travel.
I do, yes.
So where has been your favorite place that you have traveled to so far?
Yes. So immediately I think like, oh man, we've only been to like Florida, but I have to think back to pre-kids. Okay.
Yes,
so
yeah.
pre-kids, my dad would travel for work and he got the opportunity to go to Brussels, Belgium.
Oh my gosh.
And he was talking to a friend and he was like, my dad was saying, I really want to take Deanna, who's my mom, but just Europe by herself, I'm just not sure. And my dad's friend was like, well, why don't you take Lauren too? And I was like 17. And so my mom and I got to just like experience Brussels and Belgium. And then my dad would join us in the afternoon and evening. And I'll just never forget that.
Yeah. That's really cool. So do you travel to Florida a lot then now with like kids and stuff like that?
Yeah, Florida, Great Wolf Lodge, yes, all the fun places. But my husband and I have gotten to travel I've gotten to travel a lot for Keller Williams events recently. So never been out to Nevada, California, and I've gotten to do both of those. Never been to Texas. I got to do that a couple of times. So I'm loving my mommy breaks when I get to work
travel
on an airplane. We call it working on an airplane, and then I'll come back. So
that's fun. Do you have any like big places that you're going soon or you want to go? Or
big is probably relative, but I'm going to Traverse City, Michigan for a week long. They call it broker agnostic. So it's like any real estate brokerage training this summer. And so that'll be exciting because I've heard great things about Traverse City. Never been.
I have been. Have you been up there?
I have not, but
it's really
Michigan.
I feel like Michigan is
so pretty.
And I feel like it's so like underrated. Like I feel like you think about Michigan and you're just like sports, whatever.
Yeah.
But they have really nice beaches and shopping and a lot of like good food and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that. And then Texas in August to San Antonio. Haven't been to San Antonio.
I want to do the river walk there.
Oh my word. Yes, I have, but I forgot it was there.
I've never been there, but it's on the list of places I want to go.
Okay.
And what is that?
So it's on the river and it's just a bunch of shops and restaurants. And then you can like go on boats down the river. It's kind of like what they're trying to do downtown in Fort Wayne.
Okay.
But bigger, more flashier.
Yeah.
I've been to Texas multiple times, just always for work, and I'm usually in a convention center. So I haven't ever gotten to really actually enjoy Texas, so I would definitely love to travel there too.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Well, Lauren, that was our last question for you today. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we tune out?
I think probably just the same thing that it's kind of how when I won the Ultimate Connector Award, like the story behind that was I was actually up for Rising Star. Everyone who'd been featured in an article as a Rising Star was all up for that Rising Star Award. And, when you are about to be surprised with whether or not you get something, you're just anxious, you're not enjoying the evening. And so I was so ready for that to be over. And I didn't end up getting it. And they mentioned that there was a 4-vote difference. I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. I wonder who the second person was. And then I just went on to enjoy the evening. I'm like barely listening to the awards. I was talking to my girls at the table when I heard my name again, and it was for the Ultimate Connector Award. And I just felt so grateful because I don't think I could have gotten a better award for me. And so what I said was, if I don't know you yet, I want to know you. And I just want to be the person who's there for people. Yeah. So,
well, where's the best spot that people can find you? Are you on like Instagram,
yes.
Facebook,
yep.
like that? Okay.
I'm on Facebook. I don't have a business page. It'd be my personal page, but Instagram is where I send people to, like, if you want to get to know me, that's where you need to go.
Well, we will definitely link you.
Thank you.
To the podcast so that way they can go learn more about you.
Love to meet them.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Yes.
Guys, if there's anything you have questions about or you want us to talk about in the future, or maybe guests you want on the show, comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you next Monday at 8 a.m.